Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing good. Now, it's been a while since I've covered a Zimaya fragrance, so today I'm going to do just that. For those who don't know, Zimaya is a sub-brand of Afnan that's orientated towards cloning, original designer and niche fragrances, and they usually tend to be very cheap. The fragrances that I'm going to talk about in this video today, the first one is called Red Carpet Paragon, and the second one is called Impulse Oud. Both of them are clones of original niche fragrances. When it comes to Red Carpet Paragon, this is a clone of Parfum de Marly's Kalan, and when it comes to Impulse Oud, this is a clone of MFK's Oud Satin Mood. I'm going to start the video off by talking about Impulse Oud from Zimaya. The fragrance comes packaged in this thick cardboard box that has a sort of a dark blue color with golden accents. On the front you got the name of the company, the name of the fragrance, the concentration, EDP, the bottle size 100 milliliters. On the bottom there's some additional information along with a production date, which in this case is June of 2023. In order to get to the bottle you need to slide this top part of the box out. And once you do that, you're greeted by the bottle, which has this design, which is, vaguely reminiscent of the original fragrance from MFK. The bottle has very sort of a nice heft to it. The cap is plastic, but I think has metallic coating, and all in all the packaging is pretty decent considering the cheap price point of this fragrance. The note breakdown of Impulse Oud has the following notes. The top notes are Bulgarian rose, vanilla and violet, the middle notes are benzoin, oud and rose, and the base notes are amber, musk and oudi notes. I'll show you the sprayer in action and then I'll talk about the scent of this thing. As I said, this is a clone of MFK's Oud Satin Mood. The sprayer is decent, doesn't put a lot of juice out, although it has a wide distribution, but I think you have to overspray a little bit, to get the needed amount of juice on yourself. And now onto the actual scent of this fragrance. Now, the original fragrance is known for being a combination of oud, amber and rose. And the Zimaya's take on that original DNA makes no difference. The main player here is the rose note, and it's very strong right from the get-go until the deep dry down, or pretty much until this fragrance disappears from your skin. It's a very strong rose note, but it doesn't feel very sweet. It feels more like a fresh type of rose note that Zimaya have used in this fragrance. Right from the get-go you also get that oud note, at least I get it, and I also get a bit of sweetness. It's not overly sweet, but I get a bit of amber sweetness out of this fragrance. When this starts to dry down, some of that freshness from the rose goes away. It becomes a little bit sweeter. The amber note starts to get a little bit more prominent, and the same goes for the oud note. So the dry down is dominated by the combination of rose, which still feels kind of fresh, but a little bit sweeter thanks to the strong amber note on the dry down, and the oud note in this fragrance. All in all, this is a pretty sort of a simplistic fragrance. It doesn't change very much, it's pretty linear, and it's all about the rose, oud and amber combination. When it comes to the question of how close Impulse Oud is to the original fragrance, I would say it's pretty close, although I think that the Zimaya have done a bit of a twist. They didn't do a straight up cloning of the original fragrance, and it's a little bit different, and mainly that's by down the fact that this feels a little bit fresher compared to the original fragrance, meaning that the rose note, the rose and amber combination here feels a little bit less sweet compared to what you get with the original fragrance, but still in the air it's very similar, and all in all this is a pretty decent clone of the original MFK fragrance. When it comes to the performance, usually fragrances that rely heavy on the oud and rose note, they tend to be pretty good, pretty strong performance, and Impulse Oud makes no difference. It's been lasting for quite a while on my skin. I've been getting about 9 to 10 hours of performance on my skin with very loud projection in the first up to 2.5 hours. So performance wise, this thing is pretty strong. It's not as strong as the original fragrance, but still a very strong performer. When it comes to the price tag, Zimaya fragrances usually tend to be very inexpensive, and that's the same and the same goes for Impulse Oud. I paid less than 20 euros in order to get this fragrance, which of course I'm always quoting the prices that I've been paying, but as I said, Zimaya fragrances tend to be very cheap. When it comes to versatility, it's not a super versatile fragrance. It can be, you know, because of how strong it is, I can't see myself wearing this thing in warm weather, but you know, in the autumn, like fall season, winter season and early spring, I think this is the best time to wear this fragrance. And also, in my opinion, it's a perfectly unisex scent. And moving on to the second Zimaya fragrance featured in this video, which of course is Red Carpet Paragon. The fragrance comes packaged in this red colored box that has some silver accents on it. On the front you got the name of the fragrance, the company, the bottle size 100 milliliters, the concentration, EDP, some additional information on the back along with a production date, which is August of 2022. In order to get to the bottle, you need to slide this top part of the box out, and once you do that, this is how the bottle looks. It has an interesting shape, and in fact the whole packaging and the bottle design is exactly the same like you get with all other members of this Paragon line of fragrances. I think there are a total of 3 fragrances in the Paragon line, and all 3 are clones of Parfum de Marly scents. The cap is again, inside is plastic, the outside is metal. It's not a very snug fit, so I wouldn't recommend to hold the bottle through the cap. All in all, again, the packaging is pretty nice considering the cheap price point of this thing. The note breakdown of Red Carpet Paragon that I was able to find online has the following notes. The top notes are blood orange and black pepper, the middle notes are amber, orange again and lavender, and the base notes are musk, moss, woodsy notes and tonka bean. I'll show you the sprayer in action and then I'll tell you what I pick up from this fragrance. The sprayer is pretty decent, puts a wide distribution, but it doesn't put a lot of juice out, so we'll probably have to take that into account while using Red Carpet Paragon. And now onto the actual fragrance. Now, the very strong and very prominent, the most prominent note in the opening of this fragrance to my nose is that blood orange note. And it's a very interesting blood orange note because on one hand it has quite a lot of citrusy freshness, but on the other hand feels quite sweet and juicy as well. I also pick up a lot of amber right from the get-go as soon as I spray this fragrance, and a lot of the spiciness, you know, from that black pepper note. It's not super spicy, super peppery, but it feels quite spicy in the opening. And also I pick up quite a lot of the woodsy notes in the opening of this fragrance. When this goes into the dry down, the blood orange loses part of its nature, you know, that citrusy nature, and it becomes a little bit sweeter. The amber note starts to kick in, and this thing becomes a lot sweeter compared to the opening. That black pepper note almost completely goes away by the time this hits the dry down, and it becomes a lot woodier, and the oak moss note in this fragrance starts to kick in, which is quite prominent on the dry down. All in all, this is a very interesting scent, you know, quite unique in my opinion, not something that you'll smell every day, and it's actually done pretty nicely, you know, it's blended pretty nicely. When it comes to how close it is to Kalan, now I've not smelled Kalan for quite a while now, but at least from what I remember, Kalan smelling, Red Carpet Paragon seems to be a very good copy of that original scent. To my nose, it lacks a bit of the woodiness on the dry down and some of that unique spiciness that you get out of Kalan. When it comes to the performance, you know, Red Carpet Paragon feels kind of a fresh type of scent, so you should not expect wonders when it comes to performance, and it's been a little bit above average in my experience. I've been getting about 7 hours of performance with pretty strong initial projection, but it soon dies down to close to the skin scent, and it projects for a total of about an hour and a half, let's say, and the total performance on skin has been around about the 7-hour mark. So when it comes to price tag, again, being a Zimaya fragrance, it's a pretty cheap fragrance, and I paid less than 20 euros to get the Red Paragon, which of course makes it a very nice deal. When it comes to versatility, this is quite a versatile fragrance. It's a little bit more orientated towards the colder months of the year, but because of its fresher nature, you know, because it has a strong citrusy note in the opening, this can definitely be worn in warm weather and even in summer, but as long as you don't go too heavy on the sprayer. and it leans to the masculine side, but in my opinion it's quite versatile. And so on to my final thoughts about Red Carpet Paragon and Impulse Oud, both from the house of Zimaya. When it comes to Red Carpet Paragon, this has turned out to be a very interesting and quite unique scent. It's a clone of Parfum de Marly's Kalan, and as far as I know there aren't that many Parfum de Marly Kalan's clones out there, so don't have too many options. And if you're looking for a clone of Kalan, then Red Carpet Paragon definitely is worthy of checking out. It has above average performance, you know, let's call it decent performance. It has a low price tag, it has a good quality of the scent profile, and you know, a very unique scent like the original fragrance, and it's very cheap. When it comes to Impulse Oud from Zimaya, this is a clone of MFK's Oud Satin Mood, and it's a sort of like a small twist on the original fragrance. Not my personal favorite when it comes to clones of Oud Satin Mood. I like the Maison Alhambra Baroque Satin Oud, I think it was the name of the Maison Alhambra fragrance. I like it a little bit more because it feels a little bit sweeter and a little bit more jammy. Impulse Oud feels like a slightly fresher, slightly more floral take on the original DNA, with a stronger rose note in here, but still on its own it's actually a pretty decent fragrance with well above average performance, you know, nicely, again, comes nicely packaged and has a low price tag. This is definitely not a fragrance that's you know, safe for blind buying, because you really need to like, you know, strong rose based fragrances in order to enjoy Impulse Oud. But if you're looking for a clone of Oud Satin Mood and you cannot get your hands on the bottle of Maison Alhambra's version of the original fragrance, then I think Impulse Oud is worthy of being checked out. And so guys, in today's video I showed you two fragrances from the house of Zimaya, both clones of niche fragrances. The first one, Red Carpet Paragon, and the second one, Impulse Oud. I hope that you found this video interesting or helpful. If you did, give it a like. And also, if you're not yet a subscriber to the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I hope that I will see all of you guys in my next video, and until then, stay safe and bye bye.